Market economy is an economic system characterized by competition and free trade, where private property and minimal government interference play crucial roles. Command economy is an economic system where a central authority, usually the government, controls the production, distribution, and pricing of goods and services. Economy blends government regulation and public ownership with private ownership and market-driven activities. Positive economics is a phenomena factually and objectively, focusing on what is, and its statements can be tested and verified as true or false. In contrast, normative economics involves value judgments and opinions about what should be, using subjective statements that cannot be empirically proven or disproven. Economic categories. Low income is less than or equal to $1,135. Lower middle income, $1,136 minus $4,495. Upper middle income, $4,496 minus $13,935. High income, greater than $13,935. The primary sector extracts raw materials like farming and mining. The secondary sector processes these raw materials into finished goods, such as manufacturing cars, and the tertiary sector provides services to consumers and businesses, including banking and healthcare. Primary processed distinguishes between raw materials and goods that have undergone some form of processing. Generic specific differentiates between general-purpose goods and those designed for a particular purpose or with unique characteristics. Durable non-durable categorizes goods by their expected lifespan, with durable items lasting 3 or more years and non-durable items less than 3 years. Factors of production: land, natural resources, labor, human effort, capital, tools, machines, and money, and enterprise, entrepreneurship, the idea, and risk-taking to combine the other factors. Consumer Price Index is a measure of inflation that tracks the average change over time in the prices of a basket of goods and services, such as food, housing, and transportation, paid by consumers. Changes in the CPI indicate inflation or deflation, providing a key economic indicator for policymakers, businesses, and households to understand price trends. What it measures: price changes. The CPI measures the average price change of a fixed basket of commonly purchased consumer goods and services. Inflation. An increase in the CPI signals rising prices, which is known as inflation. Conversely, a decrease indicates deflation. How it's used. Economic indicator. The CPI is a widely used economic indicator to gauge the health of the economy and to inform economic policy decisions. Cost of living. It reflects the cost of living for consumers, as it tracks changes in the price of essential goods and services. Policy decisions. Governments and central banks use CPI data to make decisions on interest rates and other economic policies. How it's calculated. Simplified. A base period's cost for a market basket is set to 100. The current cost of that same market basket is then divided by the base period's cost, and the result is multiplied by 100. Example for Bangladesh. In July 2025, the Bangladesh Consumer Price Index (CPI) increased to 136.83 points, up from 133.85 points in June 2025. This indicates a continuing trend of rising prices in the country. Types of unemployment. Cyclic worker willing to work but there is no job. Structural worker has one sort of skill and another set of skill is needed for job. Frictional have to switch from one job to another. Seasonal long-term unemployment. Causes of unemployment. Lack of job opportunities. Insufficient job creation or growth in industries can lead to unemployment. Skill mismatch. Workers may lack the necessary skills or education for available jobs. Economic recessions. During economic downturns, there is a decrease in demand for labor, causing demand-deficient unemployment. Overpopulation. A large population, especially in developing economies, can strain the available jobs and resources. Structural and inadequate systems. Factors like inadequate capital for businesses, corruption in hiring processes, or poor transportation can contribute to unemployment. Effects of unemployment. Reduced economic growth. Lower GDP growth is a common consequence of high unemployment, as people's purchasing power decreases. Lower consumer spending. With less income, individuals are less likely to spend on major purchases like homes and cars, impacting the broader economy. Social impact. Unemployment can lead to social and individual hardship for those affected. GDP or gross domestic product is the total market value of all final goods and services produced within a country in a specific time period. There are two types of GDP. 1. Nominal GDP. 2. Real GDP. Aggregate demand is the total demand for final goods and services in an economy at a given time. Why is aggregate demand curve downward sloping? Real income effect, or wealth effect. A lower price level increases the purchasing power of money, leading to a rise in real income and allowing consumers to purchase more goods and services. Interest rate effect. A lower price level may lead to lower interest rates, making borrowing cheaper and encouraging greater business investment and consumer spending. Balance of trade effect, or foreign trade effect. A fall in the domestic price level makes a country's goods and services relatively cheaper for foreign buyers, which can increase exports. Shifts in the AD curve. The entire AD curve shifts to the right outward, or left inward, when there are changes in any of the four components of aggregate demand, independent of changes in the price level. Rightward shift, increase in AD. Caused by increased consumption, higher investment, more government spending, or an increase in net exports. Leftward shift, decrease in AD. Caused by decreased consumption, lower investment, less government spending, or a decrease in net exports. Aggregate supply represents the total quantity of goods and services that all firms in a national economy are willing and able to produce and sell during a specific period at a given price level. Cost of inputs. Changes in the price of labor, wages, raw materials, like oil or metals, and taxes on businesses can shift the curve. Productivity. Increases in efficiency, innovation, and human or capital productivity enhance aggregate supply. Technology. Technological advancements generally lead to increased productivity and shift the curve to the right. Natural resources. The availability of natural resources influences production capacity and can cause the curve to shift. Capital stock. An increase in the quantity and quality of physical capital, machines, buildings boosts productivity and shifts the curve to the right. Government policies. Taxes, regulations, and subsidies can influence the cost of production and affect aggregate supply.